Welcome everyone. I have been waiting for this day for years. This has been a dream of mine. Today, December 13th, 2024 is a historic day. It's the day that I am debuting the Kathryn Hastings Étui, which will be launched on the website this Sunday for pre-order and ship out in the first week of January for any of those who are ordering the seal. I mention it's a historic day because it is a seal that's launched in a long tradition of wax seals. Wax seals obviously have had a history of thousands of years, dating back to antiquity. And this particular style of seal draws inspiration from many seals in my collection, particularly Étui seals that were made about 200 years ago in Paris. The other thing about this seal that is truly historic is that it's a Kathryn Hastings seal. I am the first artist to elevate wax seals to the realm of fine art. This object is part of this moment in time, and I want to be really clear, it's not a replica. This is meant to be a seal in the tradition of Étui, but taking all of my favorite elements of wax seals from my collection and what I've seen in other friends' collections to create what I think is just the most perfect and beautiful seal that is intended to last for centuries. Wax seals and letter writing are going through a revival right now. When I launched Kathryn Hastings about 4.5 years ago, there were some people getting into the wax seal world, but there really wasn't wax seals as an art form. And when you look at the landscape now, there are so many artists who are innovating in this space. And I just think it's such an amazing moment that we live in. The Kathryn Hastings Étui is meant to last for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And so when collectors look back at the seals that you will see today and the seals that are going to come as part of the Étui collection, they will be able to mark this moment in time as a truly historic moment, a seal that was developed by Kathryn Hastings, the first fine art wax seal artist, but also in a moment where letter writing and wax seals really became an art and there was a real global community behind this. And so today when I'm unveiling this seal, I might get a little bit emotional because I am just so moved by this experience and where it has taken me. I have learned so much from obviously my background in art history and in antique collecting about how objects are seen over time, and I just feel very humbled and honored to be a part of this long tradition of wax seals. To me, they are such an amazing way to connect us with the people that we love now and to connect us with ourselves. For those of you who are in the art of wax seals, I'm sure when you started, you didn't know that it would become something that you just love. It just seemed like, oh, well, here's another craft. But when you start taking the time to write letters and make seals, creativity opens up, and it's a really special type of art because it's one that's shared. It goes out in the world. You share it with your loved ones. But also these objects outlive us. Obviously, many of my seals in my collection came from long before I was born. I have some seals that date back about 800 years. And to know that I am just a steward of these seals is really special. And so for those of you who are going to be patrons of this project that I have of the Kathryn Hastings Étui, I hope you just really take that time to be with the seal and kind of contemplate the life that it's going to have beyond yours, and then also obviously using it in your own lifetime. I can see the chat, so if you have any questions, just let me know in the chat. I'm going to try to keep the philosophy as simple as I can in showing you the seal and talking about it, but as I mentioned at the beginning, this project has been years in the making. I have had the dream of it and really thinking about, well, if I were to design an Étui, what would it look like? How would I want it to work? For the past 2 years, actively in the process, designing, prototyping, having multiple versions of it made, me testing it, holding it, even sending it to friends. I want to give a very special thank you to Marbled Paper Studio, who actually just commented. Hi, Vanessa. My friend Vanessa at Marbled Paper Studio. She was willing to look at the seal when I thought like, okay, I've perfected it. Let me send it to you. And just to get, that validation and like the feedback on, okay, this is how it will work. I also want to thank just all my friends. If you're in my close friends on here, you know who you are. And I can't name all of you, so please just know that I thank you so much. But also, if you have just been following my work on Instagram, thank you, because for a modern artist, you don't necessarily need to be patrons to support our work. Commenting, liking, sharing, all of those things have helped me build my platform to spread this art to more people. And I genuinely believe you don't need to buy things to have access to this art. The art is actually the connection of your heart to the people that you're writing. And so obviously wax seals are another element that's very ritualistic and meaningful. But if you have pen and you have paper, you can access this amazing art form and a way to connect with people. And also a big thanks to A Tale Unfold years ago. Simona, she's an amazing collector, a.tale.unfold. When I was early on thinking about designing this, I gave her my thoughts on what I was thinking of doing, and she reiterated, yes, this makes sense, but also just gave me some other things to think about, particularly the design of why I wanted to go with a circular seal. There's a whole story with that. Kathryn Hastings is very much about taking time to appreciate beauty and to share it with others. So obviously there's a whole element of wax seals and that being an art form. One of the other things that's really important to me is distance and travel. And I absolutely love the style of an étui because it is meant to travel. The étui seal, which I'm going to show it to you in just 1 minute. I'm getting a little red. I'm so excited. The étui seal is one that's meant to travel with you. And when it is fully full, so in the handle, there'll be 6 when you fill it, and then you can have 1 attached to it. So overall, as you collect, if you collect 4 additional seals after the seal is sold, you would have a full set. I was about to say butt. The butt is, you'll probably collect more than that if you're like I am, where you have multiple seals that you love collecting. And so my intention is that if you are going on a trip and you're going to be writing letters and doing seals, the étui will travel with you, and you'll choose your top 7 discs that will go in the seal. And then at your desk at home, having a glass box that has the other seals. So obviously at this point, that's way ahead of where you're going to need to be. But for my antique étuis, I put the tiles in glass because I want to be able to see them. When I look at the state of modern wax seals, one of the things that really bothered me this was kind of years ago, and still when I see it, I go, I don't like it, is when people just put the seals in drawers or in plastic. It doesn't matter if it's an antique or if it's, a modern seal, even if it's one that's not that expensive. Seals are very beautiful and they are meant to be seen and enjoyed. And so with the étui, I want you to have these out. I want them on your desk. I purposely didn't design it with a box because it's not meant to go in a box. It is an art object that's meant to be in your space. I have carried my personal étui that has been with me for about a year now. Again, so I've gone through prototyping. I've carried it in my pocket with me on every walk I went through every day. For a while, you might have noticed I was going on my walks. I had it in my pocket with me the whole time, and I would hold it. I put it on my nightstand. It was like literally slept next to me every night, and then I would like put it in my pocket, and it was going everywhere with me. The weight of this is hard to explain, and that's something Vanessa actually mentioned. She was surprised at like how kind of like grounding and heavy it is. And I want that. I want this to be a sturdy object that you can hold that's very comforting. And also it's designed for people who aren't on Earth yet. Like it's designed to last for 200, 300 years. In designing this seal, and I know I said I'd show you this in a minute, there's so much to say. In designing this seal, I wanted to manufacture it 100% in the US, which is really rare in the wax seal space, particularly to get to the quality that we're looking at. I wanted it to be so precise that everything would just work smoothly. This is a true luxury object, and the luxury is the experience you're taking in using it. You'll notice the quality and craftsmanship that comes in this étui. It's just instant. You feel it, and as you're working with it, it's just really moving. And if this is the only seal you ever buy, even with the 3 seals or the 3 discs that are in it, it's a piece that you can keep forever and cherish forever. But it's one that you can grow as well. I started to network and try to find who could make this. And I actually started looking in the aviation aerospace industry because I wanted somebody that has that level of precision. I have a special connection to aviation just with it being a passion of mine. But I knew, okay, people that I have met in the aviation space, they understand how certain things have to fit together. And you can't have, actually once my dad and I were flying this biplane across the country, we had a bolt come off the engine and oil was spewing out, and it was like horrible, right? And in wax seals, you think, oh, okay, well, like if it's like this or that and it's like not perfect, it still works. No, this is like 10 to 100 times better than anything I've ever created. And I wanted it to have that level of excellence in design. So obviously it's not a life or death thing, but I wanted somebody who understands that level of precision to make this. I networked my way through different engineers and manufacturers in the aerospace and aviation industry till I met this wonderful man, Josh Shepard, and he got my vision. He has a small business, and he, again, does not work with artists usually. He's working with these like really fine-tuned like engines and like pretty technical things, but he understood the vision, and we've worked together for about 2 years now, going back and forth developing this seal. And I don't know if he actually has Instagram, but if you are watching this, Josh, just thank you. And it's really rare. Like even when I've worked with other seal makers, they often don't get the vision. And so to have someone come from out of the seal space and just get the vision is really amazing. And then also, he has helped me figure out how to build this entirely in the US, the entire supply chain using US small businesses. As a US small business who's competing, I don't think we really compete. We're all unique. Nobody can be Kathryn Hastings. But yeah, in a way, I'm competing against these bigger companies that are based abroad, and they have different supply chains and like things that they can do. And in designing it this way, Josh helped me make it so that I didn't have to compromise on the quality. And yes, it took us years to develop it, but I am so proud, and it is one that when I look back on my life, I know it's something that I'm going to be very proud of. So Kathy said, love your passion and enthusiasm for your design, production, and release of Kathryn Hastings Étui. Okay, all of you, I'm sure you're like, okay, stop talking. We got to see this. Okay, and I am so red. I'm just so excited, everyone. Okay, are you ready to see it? I'm going to show it to you here. And then we are going to go over to my window, my workspace, where you will get to see the discs, okay? Oh, okay, I have it. I'm gonna show it to you. I swear this isn't a fake out, like you see people trying to get clicks. I just want to do this right. Okay, 3, 2, 1, voila. Okay, so this is what it looks like. I know, Michelle, I'm so happy and excited. It's a dream. It's a real dream. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Before we go to the block, I'll explain a little bit about the design. I think about the importance of this as a functional tool and something that's beautiful. We purposely chose brass. Possibly in the future, we'll make ones that are, gold plate, silver plate, maybe more detail. But I wanted it to just feel amazing in hand. Everyone presses seals a little bit differently, and I asked a bunch of friends, how do you hold a handle when you press? The way I press is like this, and then I add pressure on a seal upside down with my hand. So I designed it in a way that I hold seals, but I know that everyone's a little bit different, and you might have this handle that you like differently. So I purposely designed this so that you could swap the handle, and it's interchangeable with any handle that you have, whether it's Kathryn Hastings or a different company. I made it so that this was standard. This cost more money to do this, obviously, but it was important to me. So if you like to press with just a small object, you can do that, or you can put your own handle on there. And then All of them are signed with my artist signature here, which you'll see at the block. And I'll show you how this piece works with removing the disc. And then the top comes off like this. And inside you can fit your seals, which we see in there. So the chamber fits 6, and then you have a 7th here. You can look up the symbolism of 7 and how that's in most cultures a very lucky number. But I love that, that's a very auspicious number. The first set of these, I'm selling 49 in the first iteration, but I'm actually doing it as one of 99. Usually I launch my seals in sets of 11. 11 also a very auspicious number. I see everyone who buys this seal as patrons who are investing in this dream and this vision to bring this more to the world. And with it being a true luxury object, those first 99 people who buy this, it's not, it's not like a crowdfunding thing, but those 99 people are the people who are funding it so that I can do this at a larger scale without compromising quality, because obviously I wouldn't do that. It has to be at the absolute highest level. And you'll notice over time, I'll probably make changes. I'll make little things, but it's very hard for me to imagine what I would possibly change, having worked for this for 2 years and just like absolutely loving the way that it feels. The other thing on the top, it has artist signature here. So you'll have your 1 of 99, 2 of 99 with my signature here, as well as here with the number right here. So in the future, when you pass it on to like a family member or someone you love, your name will be in the register with the number. So if at some point there's an issue of people like replicating, because that actually happens. It's crazy that happens in the waxware world even now. There'll be provenance established with these seals. Okay. One of my absolute favorite things to do when I get an étui is to go through one by one and look at all the discs. Oops, I have some wax going here that got a little too hot. Excuse me, everyone. And the first one comes with 6 discs. These discs you'll only be able to get in this collection. And so you can't buy the discs individually to start. These discs you won't ever be able to buy individually. The additional discs that I launch, you will be able to buy those individually because you'll be able to add to the collection. Or if it's something that you love the seals, but you just can't invest in the full handle with the seals, you can always start a collection with the discs that I launch and then eventually get the handle. Maybe it's a special, birthday gift or anniversary gift. These can be used without the handle. Obviously the handle gives it the best look and best experience, but I think back about my life as a letter writer in the different iterations, and there would have been times that I could not have afforded this. So, I'm still trying to design in a way that you can have a legacy of collecting, and it's still being accessible. Okay, so to start, and I think actually we have a couple of Michelles here, but Swell Michelle, we were talking about the designs, and her first wax seal that she ever got was a fleur-de-lis. The first design I'm going to show you is the fleur-de-lis. The reason I went for such a classic design is exactly that. I wanted one seal of the 6 to be just the most classic motif that you see. I'm curious, actually, let me know in the comments, how many of you had as one of your first seals, here, wait, let me tighten this on here 1 second, guys. How many of you have or had a fleur-de-lis as one of your first seals? I feel like this is just a common thing, but maybe it's just that the people I know, that happens to be what they had first. Okay, so I'm pressing a couple spoons and wax is heating here. I'm pressing this one with Petite Roy. Okay, a square watermelon. Sonia, that was her first from Michael's. I love it. See, it is. And I want this to be a part of a tradition. And I think, you know, aside from seals with initials, I feel like the seals that have the fleur-de-lis are just so classic, and they're timeless. And they mean different things to different people. Yeah, one of my first. So Kathy said the same. Okay, I'm glad that I'm not alone, and that Michelle, it was the same thing. So it's so funny. So this is just classic. And I think about this as also an object that's gifted. I think about myself at 13 and how I loved letter writing, and I would have just swooned and died if I had. I'm glad I didn't, because then I probably would have died and wouldn't have been able to do this. But I would have just swooned at this seal, and I would have loved the fleur-de-lis. So it's so classic. Sonia, it's a classic motif for calligraphers. Okay. And in my antique course, you know, I always talk about using a palette knife. So yes, you can use the palette knife here, just to show you how sturdy it is, though. Voila. So it is very classic. But this is the first one. And I'd say this is the only one that you see in modern sets. The rest are based off of antiquity or things of my imagination. And to all my friends, thank you for constantly being there for me when I am texting you at odd hours, like random ideas I have for seals. Yes, timeless seal fitting for first release. Yes, that was my thinking. Okay, so now we are going to the next one. So one thing, when you buy this, don't tighten it super hard, just enough to you'll feel it kind of lock in. Right there, it locks in. To do that, it's not like you need it super tight. If it gets stuck on there, I'll show you this at the end, actually. Someone try to remind me at the end if I don't tell you. But I designed it as a way so that it wouldn't get stuck. Okay, so this is so sturdy. Screws on. This is also unique in the way that we designed it so it would be flush. Okay, ready? Okay, you saw a little bit of text. I'm going to pour the wax and then tell you about the text. One of my missions in life is just to learn and have an amazing time with amazing friends. So this seal is very much about that. I'm leading a workshop in Seattle in May, but then the next retreat is in France. And this seal very much speaks to the vibe of a lot of things that I want to do. Okay, here we go. So anyone who knows French, you might understand it before I give the translation. Les filets voulants, c'est au misère. And excuse my French, I'm not the best at French, obviously. But it translates to the girls just want to have fun. And I love this because it's one that there's a little bit of translation. So if you send it to someone, they can Google it and figure it out. Decoding seals, especially étuis, is one of the most fun parts. When you get your étui, even if I'm showing you this now, make a ceremony of it. Set aside time. Make yourself some tea. Disc by disc go through. I can't tell you how fun it is. But also for the recipients, they're going to decode things too when they're on letters. So that's a major component of design and what I'm doing here. Okay, so now we're going to swap out. We unscrew this, and we'll just set that disc down. And then in the handle, I'm going to take out the other discs. I'm not going to show them to you, but in here, you have your others. Oh, okay. About the sticking, we purposely engineered it so that there is a hole going all the way through. These discs fit perfectly in here. They are not going to get stuck. They fit perfectly in there, and they're not going to rattle around. See that? I'm moving around, no rattle. It fits perfectly, but it's not so snug that it's going to get stuck. I don't know in 200 years what that means, though. If somebody has this for 200 years and they don't open it, I mean, hopefully they're opening it and using it. But I wanted to make sure if somebody inherits this and it's been a century or two, that they can get the discs out. So all they would need to do is just turn it over and stick a skewer through, and out would pop the disc. You're not going to need to know that. It doesn't hold antique discs. They're designed differently. I purposely have this notch in there so that the disc is flat. Okay, so now we're going to go with the next one. And this one, also inspired by an antique. Actually, this is the first I'm showing that's inspired by an antique. The fleur-de-lis is more modern. The girls just want to have fun. That's entirely a Kathryn Hastings idea. But this one comes from Antique Étuis, one of my favorites. And I'm going to press the original antique for us to see it as well. While that is going, I want to show you a couple different takes that I have. So let's move this over here. So this one I did the two-tone method, the white with the Petit Roy, which I just thought was so cute. This is the girls just want to have fun. The two-tone, this is Diana, the green wax, with Pontresina, the white. So just so pretty. Okay, so here's this. 3, 2, 1. Voila. So this is one that you find in antiques. It's a heart locket, and it translates to "you alone have the key." I actually did one that I painted, but I don't have it right here. One thing I purposely did with this design was make the heart rounded and raised enough so if you paint it chrome, it'll actually look like a real lock. So this is just a little chrome marker, but to show you that look. Super easy and cute to just add a little bit of bling to it. Okay, so this is the antique, and we'll show you, because that was such a good question. I'm sorry, I don't remember who asked it, but does it fit these discs? Actually, they're not designed to fit, but we can try it, see if it does. But here's how these round étuis used to work. You'd have to have the full thing filled, which they weren't, so I filled it with some coins to get it there. With the Kathryn Hastings Étui, it has a cap, so it doesn't matter how many seals you own, it's always going to work. And for this, wax can get stuck in there, which it does, and it's flat. I'm going to do, oopsie, my spoon of wax, I took it off. So I'm going to do, let's do Petit Roy again. We'll do glue gun. Like that. One thing that will come with time are different caps. So if we want to have a more raised look. Okay, so see, this gets stuck in there. Not ideal. Okay, ignore all the fingerprints. Officer, I didn't do it. So you can just see the difference in detail. I love this. Obviously, I love it. So it's not to say one is better than the other, but they didn't design these for us. They designed them for the people who are alive, and we're designing these for us and for people in 300 years. So if you use this a ton, it's just going to get better because it's going to get an aged look to it, but it's so much deeper that even if you use it and it has scratches and it really has that patina of age, it's going to be something that people can still read and use. So great question on the antique. On the antique. Okay, any other questions that you have? I'm going to try actually the disc just to see. I don't think it fits an antique disc, but we will try it. Okay, so it looks like it fits on there, but oh, maybe. Okay, well, good on you, Kathryn Hastings. Yeah, okay, let's try it. This is unplanned and exciting. So if you have an antique that's round and it doesn't work because you have one of those chambers that needs to be filled, this might do it for you. That's so funny. Who knew? Okay, there you go. But the benefit about having the notch in there is that it makes it so that it's smooth. It has a little bit of a border. Okay, that wasn't my best press. But if you don't have the notch, and this is how the antiques are, you have that indent. And that can be its own cute little look, but I prefer it to have its own kind of frame. And this frame, with time, there'll be different caps that you can use as well. All the more reason. I know, it's so funny. It's like, who has the 10 millimeter? It's so rare. And I love it, but it definitely annoys me that it's not more functional. Okay, so we just did Vous n'avez la clef. You alone have the key. So basically, you alone have the key to my heart. That's the meaning there. Let's do Laurel. I want to switch to green. Okay, so here's Laurel. And let me know any questions that you have. Okay, so we are on to disc 4. And for those of you who buy one of these, I hope that when you get it, you schedule a time for yourself to sit down and just explore and play. Last night I was feeling so excited about it because I realized that I've been playing with these for years and like not showing you because I was prototyping and everything. And I am still like totally in love with it. And so I just know you will too. Oops, I should have pressed it straight. Okay, so this one, also French. This one doesn't exist as a seal until now, but it translates to my little cabbage. It's a term of endearment, and I just think it's so cute. Michelle Swell, who's here, said that I should make like little cabbages and put them on here, which I think would be so cute. So are you thinking of different patterns on the cap to change the frame? Yes, Heather B, that is exactly what I meant. So when I said, not yet, but see this piece that comes off? With time, there'll be different ones. So if you have this, you'll be able to swap it and have like a floral border or like a wreath border or little dots. So that will happen, just not yet. And that's where the first 99 people, and I don't know how long it'll take. Like it might be 5 years from now that the 99th sells. I don't know. I literally don't know how this is going to go. But anyone who buys one, I know it's an investment, but it is helping me innovate and have the funds to be able to do that without sacrificing any quality and keeping the supply chain in small U.S. businesses. Uncommon Kari, that was my nickname from my fun French teacher in high school. That's so funny. I just think it's so cute. And then I had, I did this as the two-tone method, like the Wedgwood one. So this is Pontresina on Edgewood wax. It's so cute. Okay. So now we are moving on to disc number 3. This is the final disc. And then in the future, additional discs will launch. And so you can't just buy these discs on their own here, but you will be able to buy the additional discs. B asked, what inspired the crown on the top of the handle? It looks so tactile. You know, it's so funny. I sketched everything by hand and I just kind of dreamt it. A lot of people say it looks like the queen in chess, which is funny because I have the horse and they actually next to each other. It does look like chess pieces. Yeah, I just wanted something that felt really interesting. This can actually hook to this. So I'll show you that at the end. But if you want it just to be used as a small handle, that's the third way that you can use it as a handle. I don't want to sound like a crazy person because I've thought about a billion thoughts about this, but there's so many things to tell you about why every little detail is the way it is. But yeah, I just want it to be something that's really beautiful and feels nice. It just feels really nice. Okay. Okay, and gotta make some space. Okay, so let's do Diana. We're going a little bit darker green. Oh, okay, Diana feels hot, but it's not working. So we'll go back to Laurel. This wax was inspired by Apollo and Daphne, the story of Laurel, who turned into a laurel tree upon being pursued by Apollo. Okay, so for those of you who were in Ireland with me, you might recognize this once I unveil it. This year was, or is, a really historic year. I had 3 big dreams that I've been working on for probably 5 years that all came this year, 4 if you add Victoria magazine. So in January, I was on the cover of Victoria magazine. Dream for me, and just they did such an amazing job. And then I wanted to host a retreat. My first retreat, which I did with my friend Martha Clark, was just so amazing, and I still feel like I'm there. It was magical. So I hosted my first retreat, launched my masterclass, The Art of Wax Seals. It's an evergreen course that teaches you the art. Launched that, and then the third was the Étui. So the 3 big dreams that I've had and that are basically the foundation of Kathryn Hastings all came this year after about 5 years of building this. Much longer collecting and art and all of that, but 5 years actively working towards this. And this is just the foundation. So from here, I keep launching discs. I keep teaching the art. I keep helping us grow this community of creatives with the intention that you grow your own trust in your creative abilities. Okay. So, oopsies. Sorry, guys. That was anticlimactic. Okay. Does anyone in the comments know what it means? It's 2 clovers, and it says Éireann go brach. And I loved the way we designed these, where the clovers stick out a little bit more than the stems in the grass. So when you paint this one, Lordy, if you paint it gold, it is so pretty because they look like these real little like gold gems sticking off. Okay, Sonia knew it. Yes, Ireland forever. So Éireann go brach basically means that, Ireland till the end of time. And you'll notice this has a lot of like French and Irish themes in it. This is the only Irish theme, but just with the year that this Étui launched and Ireland being so much a part of the dream and the vision, I wanted there to be an Irish seal in there. And whether or not you're, connected to Ireland or you've been there before, I also just think the clovers are kind of a magical symbol. One thing I'll say is that all of these symbols, I have my own interpretation, but that's not like the quote right interpretation. The right interpretation is how they speak to you. So I encourage you for anything that I create to have your own meaning. If you have a different way of interpreting it, that's great. Okay, so we are switching to the final disc. This is disc 3, and this is the 6th design. Okay, and maybe we'll press this one in Lucky Red. Such a fun color. Okay. Let's see. Okay. If you haven't taken my free course on wax seals, I actually have 2, one that's antique based and one that's modern. I teach you about using a flame that basically just pops the little bubbles so that they look perfectly smooth. Okay, so this seal is my favorite interpretation of a particular motif that you see in antiques. It has different inscriptions, and so this is my favorite inscription. And then there's a hidden detail in it that I will show you as well. Okay, drum roll, 3, 2, 1. Okay, last one. La la. Okay, so it's an envelope. Ba-dum-bum. Okay. And it says, go where I wish to be. And it's a reminder that our letters take us to the people that we wish to be with. And this idea, so I designed it with a little seal, but Josh, in his great wisdom, so the man who helped me with all the engineering, surprised me and put a fleur-de-lis on the seal. So in a way, the final disc has an image of the first disc in it, which I just love when they're full circle. And this one's really fun to create. If you press it in white and then just take little scissors, you can cut out the envelope and then repress it. This is one that I did it a couple different times with the Kathryn Hastings technique, two-tone technique, and it's just really darling. Yeah, I know. Heather B. So meta. I know, so meta. So that is the seal. I did tell you I would show you more how the handles can be used differently. Any other questions? Let me know. I'm 38 years old, and this is a life project for me. So if I'm alive and I'm healthy, there's nothing stopping me from creating and adding to the collections for the rest of my life. It really is a life mission of mine to get the world writing more letters and to teach this beautiful art. And so going forward, I will continue to launch discs. I know some of you collect all of my work, and I'm very grateful to everyone who collects my work. I encourage you, when you see a disc launch, just to kind of ask, oh, is this the right thing for my collection, for you personally? Because I will continue launching discs. Again, if I can live into my 80s, I hope to keep adding to this Étui. It really is a life project for me. And the reason that I didn't want to launch it as a set that's just, this is the set, I want you to add to it, is because each Étui is going to be a reflection of you. Each Étui is going to have different seals in it depending on the person that owned it. And so in a couple hundred years, not even that long, like 50 years, when somebody looks at one of these, they're going to be able to get a sense of your personality based on the motifs that resonated with you. And there are ones that are coming that are a little bit dark humored. Obviously, I know a lot of you love Memento Mori who follow my work, so there will be a Memento Mori coming. Kathryn Hastings also veers to romantic and floral and all of that. And so when you look at these collections, they are going to be a reflection of you. And I will say, as a seal maker and an antique collector, to me, the question is less about who made this originally. I know for this seal, it's very valuable because it is a Kathryn Hastings seal, and that's a part of this history of this art. But it's really your hands and you using these objects over time that make them so special, because they're going to have little scrapes and marks of you using them. It's going to be your hands that are kind of shaping them over time. And when people are holding these in 50, 100, 200, 300 years, they're going to think of you. They're going to think of who are all these people that had these, and what desks were these in, and what letters did they write. And they might even be able to see images because of our digital footprint. And so, I don't know, I mentioned earlier there's a real revival in letters and wax seals, and I've always been just so deeply called to this. But I really do see it as something that's like, this is the first moment where seals that are collector's seals are really seen as art objects that should be used, and art objects that should be used are seen as worthy of display and worthy of collection. And so it's kind of bringing these two worlds, one that was relegated to craft and one that was relegated to just like antiquity, museum, bringing those together and really acknowledging that we are part of that history. And again, I could wax poetic about this forever, but this really is a life mission for me. And whether you're buying the seal or not, just like, I'm so happy you're here with me on this journey. and you'll get to see where it grows. And also, all of you are here, you're like 10 years early to the party, really, because imagine, like, I'm not quitting, I'm going to keep going. What is it going to become? It's just so beautiful. Okay, so one more way. This is the cap that goes on here, and this is the top of the seal. You actually can do this if you want to make a little one like that. Again, telling you I've thought of like everything. Everyone has a different way they like to work, so I wanted to make sure that you have flexibility to do that. And I can show you too the swapping of handles. So there we go, and it comes off there. And I have just a rosewood handle here, purposely designed them so they'd be compatible. So if you prefer pressing, let's say you like the shape of this handle, you can use whatever handle that you like most. I think you're going to prefer the main handle. It's so grounding. It really feels like a talisman. And the smooth and all of that. So with time, I'll also show you more of how to care for them. You can polish them. They come polished. They come polished, but with a slight patina on them. Technically, you could take brass polish to this and get it to be brighter. It's a little bit of a dim day. You could get it to be an almost like lighter yellow gold color, but I prefer this color. And then you might decide that you want it just to age and have the patina of brass as it ages, or you might decide that you're a person that likes to polish it. So maybe every few months or once a year you polish it. And there's multiple ways that you can do that, but I'll make tutorials on that when you get to that time. But no polishing or anything is needed when you get it. It comes like this. Yes, and it is brushed. You might see my little fingerprints on it from working. But they are very much, each one is built with such precision that in a way they're all the same to start. But they're going to look different over like 300 years. They're just going to look a little bit different. So, okay, I'm going to bring you back to my desk. Oops. Oh, and you got to see my mess of oil paints. So thank you. I hope that was exciting for you. And I can tell you, even though you've seen them, when you get your seal, it's different. It's just like a new discovery. I've done that so many times. I've bought a seal, seen the pictures of the impressions, seen the image, but once it arrives and I actually melt wax and press it myself, it's different. And again, it's tying into so many different traditions. It ties into the letter writing tradition, it ties into the wax seal tradition, and it ties into the newer art form of wax seals. And all of these, I didn't mention the size, but I purposely designed them in a size that was slightly larger than an antique, so there's more space to play and do art with them, but also small enough that there is this sense of like preciousness. I don't really know how to describe that. Some of you who collect antiques might know that, but like there's something neat about really small objects and looking at them. That's a core element of the art of wax seals too, is yes, these objects that are made of wax that might seem small or trivial, they're worthy of our attention. And in bringing attention to them, we can create these little worlds and little places of creativity and discovery. And so the size, that was very much in mind. I wanted it to still have that preciousness. One thing I didn't show you, which I guess maybe I can show you when the next discs launch, or the next disc launches. Every disc when it launches, it's going to be 2 designs. So when you buy one, you'll get technically 2 seals because it's one disc with 2 sides. You can press these as loose seals. So you would just put a little wax down, drop the seal in it, press it from the top. Sometimes I take like the back of a pen or something to press it. And then you'll have an impression. So again, if you're wanting to collect these, but it's just not doable at this time, you can always kind of work on building the collection of discs and then eventually doing the handle if you want a handle. Okay, I'm just going to go through comments, make sure I didn't miss anything. Heather said, totally exceeded what I could imagine. Oh, thank you. I saw just this morning, Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, talking about her new business. She's made these like really funky looking, but supposedly very comfortable high heels. And she said that she doesn't create anything unless it's 10 times better than what there is. And so I was thinking about that and I was like, yeah, I feel the same way. Like I, initially when I was dreaming this project, it was this question of replication or something new. And I kept going back and forth. And then I look at how many of my antiques are really fragile, and especially for Étuis, they weren't designed to last this long. And so they have age in them, and that's a beautiful thing. But I wanted people in 200 or 300 years to still feel like they can use these and they're meant to, because we are all kind of stewards of these projects. The other aspect, which again, I said there's so much philosophy, is on sustainability. Recently, you've heard me talk a lot more about melting wax seals. I always save all my rejects and I remelt them. And friends who send me letters, if I don't save the seal, I remelt it. So that's always been important for me. But I also love the idea of launching a seal that had less waste. And so when you think about growing a collection, it's not like growing boxes of stuff. I'm actually like totally grossed out in the luxury market. And no offense if any of you do collect your luxury boxes. I know that's part of the value. I just don't get it. Like, it to me just seems like overly consumptive. Like, the thing should be the beautiful piece, and that should be out, and it shouldn't be like a status symbol of like, look at this box that I got. And so with these pieces, they don't require another handle or like additional packaging. It's just this tiny disc each time, and then you build it, and you're not going to be overwhelmed. I mean, if you have a collection of these, even if you have them in like glass boxes and they're out and they're with your other seals, it's not going to be like hoarder or like closets full of stuff kind of thing. It is one that you can collect and appreciate and just be able to keep using. So, and again, when I talk about that, like I never want to offend anyone, but it's something that I just think is so misunderstood about what true luxury is. I feel like there's so much that's status driven. And that is a fear that I have in like after my life, not having the ability to kind of guide how it goes. Like you never know if the object would become more of like a status thing, but that's really not my intention. As it being a luxury object for me, there's two parts. It's about the quality. So the craftsmanship is unmatched. You'll know it when you hold it. It's unbelievable, the quality that's in this. But the second part is luxury is about experience. And that does tie into the quality. When you're using something that has really high quality, you notice it and it enriches that experience. But I want for people who invest in this to see it as an investment in luxury and beauty in their daily life, and having it as kind of a reminder of the rituals of beauty in their life. And then it's just so pretty. You can put it on your desk and it's just gorgeous. And you can pair it with antiques. You can pair it with modern seals. I have piles of little art seals I worked on here. But yeah, very much intended to be something that's out on your desk. And if you're like I am, when you get it, you might actually want to put it in your pocket and carry it with you for a while because it just feels amazing. I also was wearing mine like in my front pocket the other day, and I thought it was really cute. So I know it's not going to become a fashion object, but I actually do wear it, and I think it's so pretty. So it fits right in. I agree. Okay, before we wrap up, any other questions? Any other things you need to know? Let me know. For the workshop in Seattle, there is one space remaining, and it's a 2-day event. The first day is making seals in my home. It starts with a tour of this space without the oil painting mess. Of course, it's going to be very clean. So it starts on a Friday, May 30th, and we'll come into the house. I'll have pastries and tea and coffee, whatever people like to drink. We'll do a tour of this room. It's going to have tour of all of the antiques in the Kathryn Hastings collection. It's also going to have all of the waxes available. Obviously looking at the art. My knight is always with me watching over, so they'll get to meet him. And then doing a workshop in the house where we're all going to be at my dining room table making seals and pressing, and being able to come and go from my office to get whatever antique pieces or modern pieces you want to work with, whatever colors you want to work with. In my closet, I have a wall of 65 glue guns. Each glue gun has a different color. They're all the Kathryn Hastings luxury sealing waxes. So it's basically opening my home to you and being there to teach and give you a lot of things that you can work with full access to everything that I use. We're going to have a really nice dinner that night. Lunch is included as well. The next day is just showing you my world outside of my office and outside of my home. So a day of adventure, exploring Seattle, and just a lot of fun. And then of course, like, more amazing meals. I'm kind of a foodie, so making sure we have good food. Wearing it as a fashion object, like a pendant on a long chain. Okay, yes, I didn't talk about that, but that is something I want to eventually do, is make a little pendant locket that can lock around this. So if we wanted to make one in like gold or silver, or you want to wear a brass one, you could get the locket and be able to wear it on your neck. But these are all things that are coming. It's, again, those first 99 people, you're investing in this dream, in this vision. And I know it's happening. I don't know when, I don't know how. I'm just moving it forward and I see it. But eventually I would love it to be an option to be able to wear these. And the neat thing about that too is that different symbols speak to you at different times. Antique seals, they really understood the power of symbolism, and that's something that I've brought back into modern seals, is having people make something not just beautiful but meaningful. And I've found even in my collection, certain seals speak to me at certain times depending on what lessons I need or what I'm going through. And so with these discs, yes, they will be ones that eventually people will be able to wear. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you all for being here, and thanks for cheering me on over the past months and years. I really do feel like with creativity, we're called to things. It's not something that we just create. It's, if anything that's Kathryn Hastings, yes, it's been my passion and like my energy and my finances, like everything has gone into this. But it's come through me. Like, I would have never 10 years ago anticipated that we would be here, again, this historic day, with this thing. Like, it's just kind of amazing. And I know for many of you who are here, you are wax seal artists, and you've probably discovered something similar, that you start working with these and it unlocks a different part of creativity, and you're developing something that hasn't been seen before. And I see that with every modern wax seal artist. Every one of us has invented something that doesn't exist. And that's because we're at the beginning of this art form. And so I think about like Strictly Larita. Larita is the first person to use a Cricut to cut waxes, and she'll cut waxes and then she'll melt them in these amazing shapes. I know Heather, you're here. Betsy as well. Like, I see her do things where I'm like, oh, that's so beautiful or amazing. And then I also see things where we'll all have the same idea and we won't tell each other what we're doing. And then all of a sudden you see someone make something, you're like, I was just making that too. Like, we're all kind of connected to this creative source. And I do want, to feel very open. I do intend to do partnerships with other seal makers. I also intend this to be compatible with other discs. So if there's another seal maker at some point that wants to make a seal, they should be able to make a seal that matches so that they could still use it with this handle. Obviously for the collecting piece, the Kathryn Hastings is like a major part of it. But I wanted it to be something that's communal and that's open so that we can all create this legacy together. Because again, these seals, we don't own them. They're outliving us. Today, I'll stop talking, but another thing I want to talk to you about at some point is the legacy of these from a museum standpoint. The Kathryn Hastings seal collection, both antiques and modern, will eventually be in museums, and it's my intention that they will be for the public. And so if somebody's like, if there's a museum that has seals from these collections, maybe once a month there's a docent that's there with wax, and the public can come in with their letters and use these, and use the antiques, but also these will be antique at some point in time. So there's a lot more to say about that direction, and like gallery shows and all of that stuff that is coming. But just as one more reminder that you are very much a part of this legacy and this tradition, and I feel so inspired by all of you, and I'm just so grateful that there are so many creatives who love this thing I love, and that we live in a time where we can actually meet each other. I think about, man, if I lived in the 80s, I would just be this, woman in a hill with her antique collection. That would have been amazing too, but joy is doubled when it's shared, and I really feel like the time we live in is just so perfect because we can write letters, but we can write letters to these people we would never know who have similar passions. So thank you again, and yes, if I'm going to post this video, you might want to email the link to yourself just for future reference, because it really is a historic moment for this seal. And so if you're going to be collecting them, whether it's, buying this seal when it launches on Monday or on Sunday, or if it's just in the future you're wanting to collect discs, this video is going to be a really good reference to have. Okay, thank you all very much, and I hope you have a lovely weekend, and take time for your creativity. Make sure you're giving yourself that creative outlet.